a page, and I noticed he had been on like since forever. So I was like, how did you find me? Like, we're going way back. And he was like, you don't remember me? And I'm like, no, doesn't ring a bell, sorry. He was annoyingly being like, I know you, but you don't know who I am, he he he. And I got a ding on my personal FB being like, remember me now, lol. I just felt like so sick seeing that. I knew who it was straight away. So one of my close friends growing up, we would always have like family barbecue.
As to why he ditched me at work. And I'm pretty sure my mum told me this when I was still with him, and I did nothing about it. Anyway, that is all I have for you right now. I know you guys have been absolutely loving my story times, so please let me know if you want a part 2 of this, because oh, trust me, I have so many more stories. And before we wrap this up, I just want to say, if you have someone in your life who is treating you like this, girl, you deserve better. If I can get out of it and if I can better myself,
so go check your tickets and please tag Ticketmaster. Story time about how my aunt kidnapped my dog. So a little background information, I was 14 and in 8th grade. I had a 4-month-old puppy that I would take care of because since I wanted the dog, my parents were like, you have to take care of him, blah, 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 blah. So put him in the crate, went to school, came home, thought everything was good until my dog is missing. So now I'm like, what the fuck? Because it's literally a 4-month-old puppy. Came to our table. So I ordered $300 worth of food for myself. So when he came back, I told him that I had to go call my mom and I left. And he was stuck with a $400 bill. Story time about my worst trip off LSD. So one of the kids in my friend group was about to leave for Arizona. And we would always talk about how we need to trip together before he leaves. And anytime that I would trip off acid, I would go to my one plug. Well, he ran out, so we had to go to somebody else. And I've never tried this kid's stuff before. But I just said, fuck it, YOLO. Which should not have juvie, whatever the heck you want to call it. Because she brought a knife to school and tried to stab some kid who had called her fat the day before. Anyways, back to the story. I wake up 4 days later. My mom's sitting next to me. They put Abby in jail for 13 years for suspicion of attempted murder, and she was kicked out of school. And now I'm homeschooled and failing all my classes. I now have seizures because of the drugs that she gave me. So yeah. Story time about how my mom planned to kill me. Yes, I said my mother. So a little background information, I was 16.
She ends up sitting on the road of the highway by my house, even though, like, she didn't want to be by us. Like, that didn't make sense. Her sister goes and checks on her, and Lily swings on her, and her sister just backs up and walks away. I was like, you know what, fine, you can stay there. So her mom pulls up, right? She gets out of the car and she's trying to pull up my driveway, and I'm like, you're not about to pull up my driveway and be loud and wake my mama up. So, like, she didn't end up pulling up ever fully up on my driveway. Like, I stood my ground.
Emotional cheating was, I still strongly believe this, to be honest. Emotional cheating is far worse than physical cheating, because the way men will explain sex to you is it's just sex. It's just a physical act. It's just something that happens in the spur of the moment. It doesn't have any thought or emotions behind it. Whereas emotional cheating, it actually takes effort, time, care, and all of these different things that are hard to get from men. So for a man to be spending his days telling a woman how he's going to take her out or planning all of these things for them to do together or saying he wants to have her kids, that pisses me off.
My boyfriend, which I didn't plan on inviting him at all because my family is super annoying and would make a big deal about the fact that this is my first boyfriend. She was like, okay, but if you guys are seriously in a relationship, I think that he should meet your family. So I ended up inviting him. So my mom called me to the kitchen to help pass out drinks, which was super annoying because my sister was literally doing fucking nothing. So after I'm done with that, I'm looking for my boyfriend and he's nowhere to be found. So I go upstairs, and as I'm about to walk up the stairs, both of them come down. And when I asked what was wrong,
give me peso, extendo. I carry bitches like I'm Greco.
audacity to keep asking if I was okay when he literally just sexually harassed me in the car. So I went to the bathroom, literally had a whole fucking mental breakdown. I called my mom to come get me because I was not finna stay there. So the next time that I went back to work, I grabbed my stuff and I gave it to one of the workers to go and give to a manager and tell them that I was quitting. Well, one of the managers caught me walking out the back door and she was like, what's wrong? So I immediately broke down. I started telling her what was going on. And then a crowd of people came around us being nosy as fuck, listening to what I was saying. And she was like, you're not quitting. I'm going to take care of this. Into a fight, like literally fist fighting. I was trying to break it up, but then I was also trying to put clothes on. And when my boyfriend saw me trying to get dressed, he took my clothes and told me to get out. And when I wouldn't get out because I didn't have clothes, so he literally grabbed me and threw me outside. And then he came back and threw a towel at me, so I had to walk home with only a towel. Story time, my parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. I flipped the page over and it said that their daughter was scared to bathe alone, so I would have to take a shower with her. And I called my mom and I told her about it. And she was like, well, honey, that doesn't sound that weird. Don't you remember when your little brother was scared of the toilet and we would have to take him to the bathroom and stand there with him for 20 minutes while he tried to go to the bathroom? So I was super annoyed that she was even comparing those two situations. Because first of all, that was my little brother. Second of all, this is just freaking weird. So I told her to bring my bathing suit over, and then I did everything on the list.
Wedding, I'm left undelivered for an hour. Check his location, he's active. At a random house. Not gonna tweak. I'm not a tweaker. I'm not gonna tweak. Put my phone down. 2 hours goes by. He's never done that to me before. Honestly, ever. Unless he's asleep. He's not asleep though, because he's active and he's at a restaurant now. Oh, an hour goes by. He's back at that same house. So I'm gonna use my wild context clues here and realized he just went to someone's house, picked her.
The rotten apple spoils the rest of the bunch, and I was the rotten apple and I was spoiling my sisters. He told me that I was brainwashed. He told me that my mom's side of the family never did anything for me. My sister breaks my phone and my dad just doesn't get it fixed. And this is where we lose contact with my mom. Us talking to our mother depended on my dad's mood. If he was mad at my mom, we're not talking to my mom. My mom, my grandma, my auntie tried to get us several times, but my dad always lied. My dad would always lie and make it seem like my family was just not trying to get us.
His Spanish class. She was a freshman, and I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, how did you know he was obsessed with her? Well, he would Snapchat this girl 24/7. Even his friends told me he was obsessed with her. So I talked to him, and I told him I was uncomfortable with how much he was talking to this girl. And he said, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll block her. Now, I didn't ask him to do that, but it made me feel more confident in how he felt about me. Well, Valentine's Day comes around, and we didn't talk all day until he came to pick me up. I wished him a happy Valentine's Day and got left undelivered.
Because we already knew that he didn't have that much time left with us. So when she walks in, I just know she has like bad news for me, and of course she does, but it's not the news that I thought. She just says that he's in a coma and we're not sure how much time he has left, but probably just a couple hours. And meanwhile, my sister, she's texting me and she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to come over here right now. Meanwhile, I'm literally I'm going into my cheer trial.
Hear these voices from outside and we realize we're like at the brick. So like there's brick here, but right here is the next level. And it's not the level we usually get on at. And we like have a listen and it's these girls from the year level above us and they're sitting on this level. And I remember like talking to them through the thing and they were so annoyed at us. Like I remember they were like pissed and they're like, you know, you're not allowed to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like obviously they're older year levels. So they're trying to like tell us what we're doing is wrong. And they were saying like, oh, we're gonna need to go tell a teacher. Like,
make that pistol pop.
Read. I was like, one, you didn't even ask me to be in any pictures and you made me pay for the pizza for all of us. And she was like, you're ugly, we didn't want you in the pictures. So I threw the pizza away and went home. Story time about how I was almost kidnapped. So a little background information, I was 13 and it was the summer going into 9th grade. I was on a road trip with my family and we needed to stop for some gas. So we stopped at some random gas station and we see this lady get out of her car and walk in. No big deal though. So we're inside and we're waiting in line to use the bathroom. So we were in the front of the line and then the weeks back and forth. I would ask him to FaceTime, but he would always make up some lame excuse. Yes, ladies, there's a video dating app coming out soon. So no more lame excuses for sus boys. Anyways, so finally after asking him a bunch of times to hang out, we finally made plans to meet up for dinner. He gave me the address to the place and it was like 20 minutes from where I lived. And he told me that he was going to be wearing a baseball cap and I told him that I was going to be wearing a white shirt and green jeans. So I took an Uber and got there at like 6 o'clock. But when I got in there, I didn't see anybody with a baseball cap on. Well, I'm going to tell you guys my opinion real quick. I think it's the mother's fault. What do you guys think? Story time about the scariest night of my life. A lot of background information. So the one weekend, my sister and I decided that we were going to go to my stepdad's. And her best friend was going to come also. I was around 13 at the time. Well, my stepdad and my mom had been broken up for about a few months. But my dad was okay with us going to our stepdad's because he had been with our mom for around 7 years and he's always been good to us. And my stepdad's was 2 hours away. So fast forward, Part 3 about the girl who was obsessed with me. So like I said, I texted him and I got no response back. So I run into him the next day at school. And I'm like, hey, did you get my text? And he's like, text about what? and I was like taking my Instagram off your phone. And he was like, oh yeah, Addie did it, don't worry. And I didn't think anything of it because, you know, I'm like, oh well, she's done torturing me. Well, I was very wrong. So in my first period, I went to go sit with my group of friends, because all three of us had that class together. And when I walk in, I realized he'd me for nudes. And I would be like, no, not tonight, I'm tired. And then he would keep asking me why. And then he would start to make me feel guilty about not wanting to send him nudes. Eventually, he would just say, it's fine, I'll just wait until we can do physical things together. And he still has, quote, his hoes on Snapchat. And he still has all of their nudes and everything. And literally the day before we started dating, he told me that he liked this one girl. And he'll always hang up the phone to talk to her instead of me. And then when I bring it up,
he like grabbed my arms right here and like pushed me backwards into the elevator. Like, bro, come on, bro. And pushed me inside the elevator. I didn't even get in the elevator. He pushed me inside the elevator. So if he didn't want to talk, he could have just left it there. But like, I mean, I would have followed him, but still, like, anyway, we get downstairs into the lobby, and this is where things went south. He was like walking away and calling me a... It was only me and him, and he asked me if I wanted to go with him to drop off like a money slip or something. So I was like, duh. So we went into his car, and we went, and then he wanted to get breakfast, so we went to breakfast place and got breakfast to go, and he bought me food, and I was like, he's not cute. And then he like started flirting with me. I was like, because I wasn't gonna initiate anything. I'm not like that. I wouldn't want to make like the workplace awkward or anything like that. Like, I would never make a move.
One more time while I called my sister and told her to distract my dad. So as we're driving up to my house again, I see that my dad isn't on the porch. So I run into the house before he could see me getting out of a white boy's car. So a few months go by and we're still dating, very low key. And the one night at 3 a.m, I get woken up by my sister. And she says, you better delete any pictures that you have of you and you know who off your phone. And you better come up with the story right now.
because one of your friends took pictures of you walking with him in the hallways and kissing a random person, so he didn't act like my dad, because neither of us knew. Like for part 2. Okay, part 2. Okay, so pretty much what happened after that is she called and like she found out that it wasn't my dad. And then she went digging and like she like called my sister to the office and she was like, what's your dad's phone number? And my sister was like, why? Like, don't you guys have it already? And I also put the same numbers for my sister. And I see a huge bruise on her neck. Like, it looked like somebody had been choking her. Now, her and I weren't in the same friend group, but we were kind of friends. So I lean over and ask her what happened. Like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who faked assault for attention. So like I said, we were sitting in English class and I look over at her and she has this big bruise on her neck and it looked like somebody choked her. So I leaned over to her and I asked her what happened and she said the guy who was in the video with her, the most recent video, he essayed her. So I told her,
so I'm like, so I'm calling the number and she answers off that phone. She's on the phone groveling to me, groveling. I'm so sorry, Malika. This isn't what was supposed to happen. I was going to tell him the truth and I was also going to tell you. Blah-de, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. All I know is I'm going on this trip. I have to. As soon as we get back, you're blocked. I'm on my way home from work. She's obviously calling and texting me. I'm having a kiki with my friends.
I was a college student and I had been with this guy who we're going to call Jacob for about 6 months. Towards the end of his and I's relationship, stuff just started to get really boring and every day I would get the ick from him. Now, at this time also, I had gotten a new job. While I was working, I had met this guy who we're going to call Tim. Since I was a college student, I decided to start working more, so Tim and I would see each other literally every day. Him and I really hit it off, like straight away. Not to mention, him and I had a lot of things because it was a Friday, and that an Uber was coming to pick us up. And there really was no Uber, it was actually just our guy friend coming to pick us up. But since my dad didn't let me go in Ubers, we had to go to my best friend's house. And her parents were fine with it because they loved me and thought that I was the most perfect child on earth. So we get in our Uber and we just go to his house and hang out the whole time. I literally don't even know how we got away with this because it was the same exact car every time and the same exact her had went to get employees. But by that time, the dogs had already gotten to the 2-year-old boy. Like for part 2. Part 2 about the 2-year-old boy who lost his life at the Pittsburgh Zoo. So like I said, she had dropped her child into the exhibit, and by that time the dogs already got to him. As soon as this happened, visitors went and told the employees. Shortly after, zookeepers were able to call off several of the dogs, and they had immediately went back into the building. 3 more were eventually drawn from the child, but the last dog was very aggressive and the police had to shoot the animal. The father soon arrived at the scene.
So we get to the parking lot and I turn around and I see 3 girls getting out the motherfucking movie theater. Y'all know what I had to do. I bullied the fuck out of them. I'm sorry. Disclaimer, before I play this voice memo, I don't condone bullying at all. I don't think it's okay to fight. I don't think it's cute to fight. I think we should all be peaceful individuals. I don't condone body shaming.
And did not mess with that stuff. But apparently, it said for her not to buy a house with the numbers 2815. Well, 2 years later, my aunt got remarried, and her husband ended up having 2 kids. So they bought a new house, and no, it didn't have the numbers on it. One of their kids accidentally shattered the glass door, so they went and got a new one, and it came with those exact numbers on it. 2 days later, the house burnt down and nobody survived. Storytime about how I was groomed for almost 2 years and didn't even know it. So a little background information. When I was 15, my house burnt down.
It's about damn time. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump.
Her wife for about 16 years. And they both have 3 kids together, and I live with my brother and sister-in-law, Nora. Both of our families were super close. They were always coming over to our house, vice versa. Now, this is where you gotta keep up. My cousin Brandy started cheating on her wife with Nora's sister, Taylor. And that meant that Taylor was cheating on her boyfriend, and they had 3 kids together also. And this all started happening the night of my nephew's birthday party. They literally did the nasty that day and then showed up at different times to play it off.
And anyway, but I have my calls, unknown callers silenced, so I can't get any calls from like no caller ID or like spam callers or anything. I woke up to 2,000 no caller ID calls from him and 500 voicemails in my blocked section in my voicemails. And what he said in those voicemails will literally haunt me until the end of my time.
He said that he really likes me. And she said, yeah, of course, that's perfectly fine. I don't care. I don't like him anymore. So I was like, okay, we're all good to go. So a month later, him and I start dating. Well, I found out that he was cheating on me when I went through his phone and saw all these nude pictures of my best friends and videos of them doing the nasty. So I decided I had to get him back. And my best friend, of course. My best friend was still with her boyfriend. But her boyfriend was my ex-boyfriend's best friend. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I got my ex-boyfriend back for cheating. Starts talking about how my clothes don't fit me right and I look like a block. And how my boobs are so much smaller than hers. And how I don't have an ass. Literally in front of everybody, just embarrassing herself. And me. So after that, she went to the bathroom to throw up because she had way too much to drink. And him and I started talking. And he was like, why wouldn't you just tell me that you didn't like me? And I was like, what do you mean? I just didn't want a relationship. He goes, oh, well, she just told me that you like somebody else. So that was the last straw, and I just left her at the party.
I get on Instagram and I don't have my notifications on for Instagram. It's like it happened like an hour ago. This random guy sent me a post. So he sent me a post and it said my name and then it said she talks to hella dudes. I'm not even kidding. Like, I know people on my TikTok think I'm like a bop or whatever. First of all, I have not talked to a guy in months. Second of all, I am so new to this school. I do not know anyone. Like, me and my best friend came together and we know like 2 people. They're girls. I have not talked to a single guy. And like the guys I look, or like the girls I look at, talk to a age.
She said that God's not giving her the answers that she needs, and I don't really know what she means by answers. So my grandparents kick her out because she's acting like a psycho. Well, the same night at 3 a.m. in the morning, we hear a knocking on the door. And lo and behold, it's my aunt. So my mom lets her in because she feels bad and feels like she's the only one that will actually listen to my aunt. So she makes everybody sit at the kitchen table. And she pulls out a Ouija board from her bag, like for part 2. Creepy story time about how my aunt passed away, part 2. So like I said, she makes us all sit down at the kitchen table and she pulls out a Ouija.
And when I basically didn't want to be her friend anymore, she started bullying me. I actually mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I just thought that today I would elaborate. So basically, one day she came to me and she told me that she knows a guy that she thinks that I would really like. And I was a little confused by that because every time I would like a guy, she would like him too. Like, she would never let me have anything. So I was a little weirded out when she wanted to introduce me to a guy. I was like, but okay. So she gave me his Instagram, But this...
No. What'd he do? He's running around the school playing freeze tag. He's killed 2 people already. And the worst part is, he received money for those he killed. Let's run this way. Derek's coming. Hello, ladies. Freeze tag, Derek. No! Unfreeze me! Freeze tag.
Bestie, why did you just freeze me?
Sissy!
Oh no. Ellie?
Sissy!
Ellie! Did they lock you in the cabinet?